Hi everyone and welcome for this new moon of May 30th, 2022. This is a very special new moon. Why? Because things are changing. Things are shifting from the tendency that we had previously during 2022. We had before this new moon conjunctions with Neptunes being prepared, Mars and Venus work. We had all this going through the year. And I know in English you don't have those videos from me, from this channel here, but we had wonderful blessings, opportunities to go reach towards our higher self, excellent opportunities, way better than the usual energies that are present. So of course, maybe some of you might not have lived this, maybe some of you didn't feel that so much, but the energies were there. So it was given, it was there. And if you didn't hear about this and you watch this video now, still on this channel there's a few of those videos. There's two of them, previous videos, telling you a little bit about what was there in this year 2022, early in springtime. And those were very generous energies, very open, very great. Now with this new moon, things, as I said, are shifting. Actually, Mercury that was in Gemini is actually retrograding and going back in Taurus. And where is going in Taurus? Just basically it's the end of the sign of Taurus. It will be in this axis of the lunar nodes and close by Uranus and making a square to Saturn, a trine to Pluto, and a sextile to Neptune. So that Mercury retrograde is very aspected on this new moon of May 30. This is crucial because this Mercury represents our mind, and it went already in Gemini, and we mentioned in previous videos a little bit like this child that says, yes, it's worth it to come on Earth, to have an incarnation on Earth, and choose to be here and live a higher self life. Because yes, it was shown it is possible with the aspects we had early in springtime. But now the luminaries, sun and moon, did enter Gemini for this new moon, which is in Gemini at 9 degrees in Gemini, and they show a certain light in Gemini. And this Mercury is looking around and saying, oh, well, is it really a life of my higher self, of our higher nature in term, being humans? Is it really that life that is there? Because those luminaries are shedding light that shows things that our consciousness is aware of. And what we're seeing when we look around, it's not only like perfect, beautiful world. There's lots of problems that are there. So that Mercury sees that and decides to go back in Taurus. This is illustrating that retrogradation of Mercury. And going back in Taurus, all those aspects on Mercury, as I mentioned, the trine to Pluto, the square to Saturn, the sextile to Neptune, and the proximity of Uranus in Taurus, this is a lot of pressure on our little Mercury going back in Taurus. Taurus represents this very material world. It's the fixed sign of Earth, so it's a very material world that is there. And Mercury that was going, wow, it's wonderful, life is great. There are those great aspects with Neptune, saying there's great spiritual potential happening, revelations, making us look at our higher nature and all this. The potential was there. Maybe not everybody used it, but it was there. So that Mercury was there, happy. Now it's going back in Taurus and it looks at the reality around us, that concrete reality. It's not the only reality, but it's one of them. And those realities, and it's being expected a lot. So our mind is a bit confused. Not only that, Venus is entering Taurus as well, and it has a square to Pluto. That square is important. That square is important because Venus in Taurus is ruling. So it loves this sign of Taurus. It It's a chance for Venus to actually appreciate, live that joy, that love that Venus likes so much, to live it on Earth. But as soon as it enters Taurus, it is already in square with Pluto, and that square is putting pressure on Venus again. So both Venus and Mercury have really strong pressures in Taurus. Of course, Uranus is in the middle of the sign of Taurus, and he's not helping at all. Like, he's moving things around, and that material world around us, all the problems we can face, we envision, we see, yes, humanity is not in a very easy situation right now. Well, all this is very, very obvious at that point, and could even be critical. I don't know what will happen at that moment exactly, but it's not a very happy time, honestly. There's lots of pressure. So this is just to show that we were really up there in really strong spiritual energies in early springtime. Even though not everybody lived it, the potential was totally there. Astrologically speaking, it was really strong. If you didn't have a chance to live it, go watch and look at those last 2 videos I did post on this channel, and you'll have a taste of what it was and remind you of the energies that were present, because there is a memory that is here around us. It's Akasha Chronica. It's there. There's a memory. So if we remember what we went through, if we remember the quality of the energies that were present, well, it is totally possible to go get those gifts that we didn't have a chance, we didn't have time. We have our own cycles in life. Not only the big astrological cycle for the entire planet is affecting us, we have personal, transits, not only astrological transits, but other type of cycles as well that are, connected to other things than astrology. So it's possible we didn't feel it at all. If it's the case and you hear this, well, go back and revisit those moments. Hear, those previous videos. For example, the one on the full moon of May 16th, go and watch this video. It's gonna tell you a bit about what was happening, the preciousness of the energies that were there present. Okay, so now we go back in a more concrete world material, and something will be crucial. There's a conjunction between Jupiter and Mars in the very beginning of Aries. Jupiter is entering a new cycle in Aries. You know that Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So it's a 12-year cycle. And Jupiter is just entering it. And at that very specific moment, Mars is the first planet entering in conjunction with Jupiter. So this conjunction is crucial. Why? Because Mars and Jupiter together represents a strength able to take huge decisions and to actually implement those decisions, to make them real, to act upon those decisions. Mars is the motor, the one that will be really acting and making it, implement what Jupiter will choose. And Jupiter is the one that is able to take the decision. So they're both together in Aries, new cycle, new energies, ready to move fast. Aries is not, slowing down. It's an energy that is moving fast. So they're ready to move. And they will take actions because they're in sextile with Sun and Moon. So they're ready to take action. Sun and Moon is shedding the light on the situation in Gemini. And Jupiter and Mars will take decision and will take action. But this is big. Also, interesting to mention that Jupiter and Mars are having a square with the black moon, Lilith. And that square means Jupiter and Mars are having the real challenge in that whole chart of this new moon of May 30. Actually, what is this challenge? The decisions that will be taken by Jupiter and that will be implemented by Mars those decisions have to be made according to the reality of the soul. The black moon is connected, this Lilith is connected with fidelity, to be faithful, to be trustworthy towards our soul, towards our higher self, towards all this. It's asking that all the time. And having this square, it means Jupiter and Mars are ready to move fast. They think they have a new thing because they're in Aries. They think they have, that they see things for the first time, that they see problems for the first time, that, issues are there, they see it, they identify it, and they say, oh, we can take decisions, we can enforce that decision and change things, right? They think because they see it for the first time, or they mention it for the first time, they think, oh yeah, we can now solve this problem. But it's not that simple, because the problem was there before. It's a whole cycle, and it's not that simple to solve it. So quick decisions based on, oh, now there's new energy to do this, we can solve it now, won't be the key because of that square with the black moon, the Lilith. And this is very, very strong. And it tells us something else. This Jupiter and Mars, how will they take the right decision? Because it's, with the government, very often, we don't trust government so much. Very rarely we'll think, oh, they're making the right decision. They move towards the right decision. Very rarely we'll think that. And this time, the key to make the right decision, not only for governments, but for ourselves as well in our own life, is for them, for both Jupiter and Mars, to remember that they are just coming out. They're just getting out of Pisces, where they had this conjunction with Neptune. And that's when, during those conjunctions, that's when we had those great, huge potential for, spiritual growth, connection to our higher self. That was huge. We just went through this. But if Jupiter and Mars think, oh, well, that was a bit of a dreamy moment. Now we're back in reality, and it's a new cycle, it's a new thing. We have to take decisions based on real life, right? This will be terrible. They actually have to remember those connections, to remember the quality that the connections to our higher self brings us. And we can take decisions based upon what we went through. But there's a huge temptation to forget it, to forget those last months, those great connections, those great meditations, those great moments we had, and to just act because it's an emergency, right? We'll claim, oh, it's an emergency, we have to take action. It's a new thing, it's a new problem, there's a new situation, we have to take action. And this is for everyone. So this is a planet thing. It's not just for some place in the world. It's a huge thing. We're all facing this. So it's very important for us to remember, whenever we had a chance, to really have a serious good meditation, a real connection with some beings of light, with some great advanced energy, with our guides, with, with our soul, with love, with real love. When did we have a chance to connect to this? We have to remember that with our higher self, with our higher nature. When did we have a chance to do this? We have to remember this so that our Jupiter and Mars, so basically our own ability to take decisions and to implement them at the same time, all that together, well, that has to be connected to this connection to our higher self, this connection to our spiritual growth through all this. And very often, when there's an emergency, that goes second or even last, this connection. So it's something to think about, because there will be pressure on Taurus. Mercury and Venus, it's obvious, have those squares. Mercury, lots of aspects I mentioned. So Jupiter and Mars are the key to go through that very specific period. So we have huge responsibilities on our shoulders to remember what the most precious moment we had, specifically in this early springtime, because the energies were so good. But if we didn't live something too magical at that moment in our own life, well, we can also do the same work just by remembering our best moments of connection with our own, spiritual being. because there will be decisions to take. That Mars and Jupiter conjunction is very strong. It's all in it's in the hands of Jupiter and Mars, what will be happening. That means the decision will be taking, the actions will be implementing. They have to be a bit more conscious than before, and not being bold, saying, oh, it's a new thing, it's an emergency, it's a new cycle. That is the Aries energy, because it's a new cycle, right? It's the first time of the zodiac, so both of them are just, they just finished a big cycle, and now it's a new one. So they think, oh, we can forget everything about the last cycle, and we just, enter a new one, and we just act as we can. Mars is so keen to do this all the time. Now Aries is a sign where Mars is ruling, so he's very strong. He wants to do this. There's a huge temptation to do that. So the challenge will always be, remember the most beautiful explanation of something of the problem we are facing. Remember the most beautiful explanation you ever heard about this, and act upon this connection to our higher nature. Okay, so it's a different energy than the previous videos, just because astrologically it changes a lot. All the personal planets are now, that's it, they're all in Aries, Taurus, and Gemini in that quarter of the zodiac, in this first quarter of the zodiac. So it all changed. It's all changing. The energies within ourselves are pushing a lot. This personal energy in each one of us is really big. Summer is there. There's holidays coming for many people, summer vacations and all this. And, we all want our personalities of each person, are keen to get what they want. It's starting now. We're not as much connected to our higher self easily. We have to remember when that was easier in this new moon of May 30. So it's some kind of a challenge that is expecting us. For some of us, it will be easier, but because it's our own cycles, right? We all have our own cycles. But for the planet, there's real challenges coming up. So yeah, and this is the beginning, because there will be more aspects coming that won't be that easy. So it's important. This is an important point, because if we start with this new cycle of Jupiter and Mars in Aries with the right thinking, and we start with good actions right away, we have a good start, a good beginning of this cycle, then, the other challenges, we will be able to go through them fairly well. But this is the first test of this summer. Big summer is expecting us. End of springtime and summer will be intense. There will be challenges. So it's important that we start with the right foot, that we start the right way at the very beginning. And again, the focus has to be put on our ability to take decisions and to implement them based upon the most beautiful, inspiring moment we went through, specifically early this year, but in our entire life. Okay, so thank you very much for listening, and see you another time for another astrology video.